So when it comes to the pentatonic scale, those classic boxes are great. You can move them around, super versatile, great vocabulary, but if that's all you know, you're missing out on some key information. Yes, you're gonna need to know the 5 positions. I use them all the time. I'm never sick of them. You're never gonna not need them. But to the untrained eye, it's one big blob of notes. You don't really know where those 5 notes start and stop, and you're definitely missing the hidden structures found within them. So today, we're gonna uncover those, and I promise you, you'll never see the neck the same way again. To get started, we're gonna focus on the structure of the pentatonic scale. And on the guitar, it's kind of a blob. That's why I'm making this video. I just went over that. So we need a better visual representation, and what better choice than the piano? As soon as you look at it, you'll notice the black keys create a pattern of 3 and 2, 3 and 2, or 2, 3, 2 and 3, depending on how you look at it. And it turns out that that's a pentatonic scale. It's a G-flat major pentatonic scale and an E-flat minor pentatonic scale. Now, right there, if you didn't know a major pentatonic and a minor pentatonic are actually the same structure, that alone can help unlock the neck for you and kind of reduce the equation. Super helpful, only 5 positions, and you get both major and minor. So we'll revisit the major pentatonic at the end of this video, but for now and for the bulk of this video, we're gonna stick with the minor pentatonic. So E-flat minor is a great key, especially if you're down 2.5 step on a strat, but we're gonna transpose it to A minor just for ease sake. And again, these boxes aren't gonna give us the information that we're looking for. That's a vertical approach on the guitar. But if we climb up one string, which is known as a horizontal approach, we can start to see the spacing in between the notes, and that's what we're looking for. So we'll start on an open A. Our next note is a C, which is the flat 3 in the key of A. Go into D at that 5th fret, that's the 4th scale degree. 7th fret is the 5, or an E. Then we got G at the 10th fret, that's the flat 7, and then we got our root up at the 12th fret. So if we take a look at the spacing in between those notes, we have a minor 3rd, or 3 frets between the first 2 notes, okay? We got a whole step between the second 2 notes, another whole step, another minor 3rd, and a whole step. So we only have 2 intervals. We have whole steps and a minor 3rd. And immediately you can start to see those shapes appear. You have the grouping of 3 right here at 3, 5, and 7. That's flat 3, 4, and 5. And then the grouping of 2 is flat 7 and 1. So that's great on one string, but that's not the most practical way to play. So what if we combined it with another string? Well, if we apply those notes to the E string, we got the E, we're gonna go up a minor 3rd to the G, and then we got a whole step to the A. And I'm just gonna stop right there. So if we conveniently ignore the open strings, we got the 3rd fret on the 6th string and the 5th fret. Same deal on the 5th string, but we also have the 7th fret. And that's it. This is a 5-note scale. So right there, you got your group of 2, followed by your group of 3. And if you notice, it's all whole steps, so it's really conducive to playing. You got your index, ring, and slide. You can also slide with your first finger. And then after that, this pattern is going to repeat up the neck in the middle 2 strings and on the bottom 2 strings, or top 2 strings, however you want to think, strings 1 and 2. So the next one, where all we have to do, we got the group of 2, group of 3, move down, you got that same frets, group of 2, group of 3. Now the second string screwed up a little bit by a half step, so we got to go up 1 fret and shift, and then we're right back on track. So in total, you got... or... So what's great about that is now you're moving all across the neck. You don't feel stuck, you're not limited, and you've kind of standardized the shapes, which is also great for vocabulary. So let's say you come up with a lick like, you know, I can move that here as well as here. And since these are the same shape 3 times over, it's worth just taking one of them and just practicing that. So we'll go up with our ring finger, index, slide back. That's cool too, but you can also stretch for these. And this is where this Bonamassa kind of Eric Johnson thing comes from. Eric Johnson first, obviously, over Bonamassa. Not only because it's a good stretch, and you can kind of start to really fly through the neck, but it's a 5-note pattern. And that's kind of that thing, that 5-note pattern. So this is really conducive to shredding if you do it like this. Not only that, but we just went 2 and 3, right? We did 2 notes and then 3 notes. we can flip that pattern. The piano just showed us that 2 and 3 is actually 3 and 2 as well. So if we translate these two notes, the G and the A, to the A string up at the 10th and 12th fret, then we got a group of 3 below it, group of 2, shift up 1 fret, group of 3, and group of 2. And then when we come back down, we kind of realize you can play the 6th string too. So really anywhere there's a root and you place your ring finger on it, you got that group of 2, so there's always another note a whole step below it, the flat 7, the G. You can kind of create this pattern, right? But that's just where it starts. That's just one pattern in 2 different spots, which is great because you can go all the way up, and then where this one kind of leaves off, you can kind of keep going. And now all of a sudden you're able to conquer the whole neck. But again, that's just one pattern. We started with the flat 7 in the root, but what if we start to move up the neck and create more patterns? The last one we just did, I'm sure any of you who are watching this, you've probably seen that across the internet on the YouTubes before. It's very common. It's super helpful. I teach it all the time. But these other ones are worth checking out too. So if we start on the root, we got the flat 3. That's going to bring us to our index finger on the same fret, 5th fret on the 5th string, slide it up a whole step, and then our pinky. So that's our next shape. If I was to stretch for it, I would go index, ring, index, middle, pinky. And if we were to flip the roll and we put those 2 notes, the root and the flat 3rd, up on the A string, that means we got the 4th right there, slide up a whole step for the 5, flat 7. Our next pattern would start on the 8th fret with our middle finger. That's the flat 3, going to the 4 with our pinky, index on 5, pinky on flat 7, sliding up a whole step to the root. If we wanted to stretch for this one, I would start with our index and then ring, back a half step for our index, ring finger stretches up and pinky. If we then wanted to transfer that pattern up to the 5th string, we would go up to the 15th and 17th fret, back a half step for that E, and then pinky on that G, and then slide up. So you can see you might have to start compromising fingering. That's fine. You can kind of do what you got to do. Each position is going to be different. Every key is going to be slightly different, even though you're doing the same shapes. Just depends on like where the frets start to get crunched. Next position is going to start on the 4 and the 10th fret, going up to the 5th at the 12th fret. We're going to go index on that 10th fret of the 5th string, slide up a whole step, and then pinky. For the stretch, I would go index, middle, pinky. And if we were to transfer those notes, we got to go down the octave now. That'd be at the 5th and the 7th fret. So then the next group of 3. Our next pattern is going to start at the 12th fret with our index finger. That's a 5 up to the flat 7 with our pinky on the 15th fret. Same deal on the A string. Slide up a whole step. If we were to stretch for it, I would go for the ring and the pinky. If we were to transfer those 2 notes, the 5 and the flat 7 to the 5th string, we got the 7th fret and the 10th fret, which means we got our root on that next string down, pinky up a whole step. So as you can see, these patterns are super helpful. You can get creative with hammers, pulls, and slides and kind of flow anywhere across the neck. I like to kind of fly up one and kind of get off at a floor. I call this the elevator approach, and then go through those pentatonic boxes. That's why I call these the cut throughs, because you're cutting through these pentatonic boxes. But here's the thing. That's not the only group of 3 and 2 found within these. If you take a pentatonic scale and strategically get rid of 2 notes, you're left with a triad. So the major pentatonic has a major triad, and the minor pentatonic has a minor triad. But the thing is, I've already taken enough of your time today. You got plenty of practice. I don't want to overwhelm you. I'm running short on time. So if you want to hear about those cage arpeggios as well as these diagonal approaches, throw a comment below, hit us up. Let me know if you practiced this and this was helpful and you're having a lot of fun with it. And, like, subscribe, that whole thing. We'll see you next time. Appreciate it. Cheers.